On set is Nadibaidze, who's a Research and Communications Associate for the policy think tank Open Europe. Thanks very much for coming to talk to us. So just to go back to these top jobs, two women in the top positions.
Yes, that's a great improvement, a great message that's sent from the EU. From the beginning, gender balance was an important criteria, and the fact that they come up with this package of leadership nominations shows that EU leaders were clearly committed to that goal.
And what about the Parliament? How likely is it really to stand in the way of this kind of grouping of top jobs that they've managed to come up with?
That's a very good question, and something to watch out for, because we've seen already much opposition from certain groups, including the Socialists, the second largest group, and the Greens, the fourth largest group in the Parliament, specifically against the whole process of nominating the Commission President, and the fact that she was not an MEP, she did not campaign for elections, she was just nominated by EU leaders, so they might see this as an undemocratic process. So to what extent they will be willing to actually block her nominations, we will see that, but it's not for sure that they will accept it.
So this is Ursula von der Leyen, and I suppose people who are against her also say that she's a federalist, and they use the word in a kind of negative way, whereas some people obviously see federalism as a good thing within Europe. How much of an issue is that going to be surrounding her?
It's interesting that actually countries in the Central and Eastern Europe have supported her nomination, because usually they are the ones that are against more pro-integrationist candidates. So we will see how that plays out, but actually I'm not sure how. Definitely there will be opposition to her pro-federalist position, so that's why also we can remain skeptical of her being approved or not.
And what about if these particular candidates are approved, what kind of direction do you see the EU going in the next 5 years?
So it's a pro-EU direction, definitely. That was one of the goals, is to avoid having Eurosceptic people at the top. Also, the fact that it's quite Western, pro-Western, specifically these nominations. We don't see anyone from the Central and Eastern Europe, which kind of goes against the whole regional balance that leaders were also focusing on. So definitely in that direction as well.
What about the main challenges for all these? I mean, all these jobs, they're big jobs. And what would you say the biggest challenges are?
Well, we have much more fragmented European Parliament right now. It's going to be quite difficult to come up with proposals that would gain the majority of the support of MEPs. We have a fragmented European Council as well. We saw that leaders could not agree. They were there for days, for hours, trying to reach an agreement. And that will happen not only for this summit, but for any other issue on the budget. Very difficult negotiations ahead, especially with the UK leaving. On migration as well, it's very difficult to reach an agreement. So really monitoring these negotiations and coming to some kind of consensus, that will be a great challenge for these leaders.
Nadibaidze,